Are the 49ers a radio station with all these layoffs? What's up, everybody? Welcome. Guy here. It is Monday night. It has been a minute. It will be about another minute, but it's good to be here. I felt like I had to get on today and do a stream. I owed it to you, the people. Sincerely. I was like, I don't know if I can. I got to do it. The 49ers have created quite a bit of consternation, not panic, but consternation. I think especially when you see what a lot of people had feared for a while would happen. Drake Greenlaw gone. Kyle Juszczyk gone. Jalen Moore. The Chiefs feel good enough about him to be a starting left tackle. Maybe. They gave him 2 for $30. Aaron Banks, gone. Talanoa Hufanga, gone. Mooney Ward, gone. Elijah Mitchell, gone. And all that stuff feels, especially for me personally, like the Greenlaw and the Juszczyk, because those guys were part of a culture-changing group of players that brought a respectability, a care factor, a toughness, a versatility back to the organization. And by the time you listen to this, if you listen to the podcast or you watch this, maybe things have changed. Aside from, now, no one was shocked that Mooney Ward's gone. I hate to be and I've said this before, like, I don't feel like I'm pessimistic. I don't feel like I'm optimistic. I'm mystic, realistic. And I guess sometimes I can be pessimistic, sometimes optimistic. I don't know. But one thing I hate to be, I do like to be opposite. But when everybody's feeling down, I don't love being glass half full guy. And I'm not today. So that's not what you're getting. But I do think some of the attention is in the wrong place. The guys who are not returning to the 49ers that played the most snaps on offense and defense. Do you know who's number one non-returner on offense from last year's snap count? You know who's number one non-returner on defense from last year's snap count? You know what it is? I'll give you 5 seconds to guess. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Say your prayers, you filthy animal. Jake Brendel and Devondre Campbell. Javon Hargrave was 23rd in defensive snaps last year. Drake Greenlaw was 30th. Talanoa Hufanga has not been the starting safety in 3 years. Talanoa Hufanga was probably supposed to be gone already by the Niners' plan. Mooney Ward being gone, that's a major downgrade and a major hole, but that one's probably a little easier to take because you expected it. On offense, Brendel was 2nd in snaps. Banks was 6th in snaps. Debo was 8th in snaps. Juice was 10th in snaps. And Moore was 15th in snaps. So, the fact that Hufanga and Greenlaw going to the Broncos, it felt like bang, bang on Monday. There was a big reaction to that. I think there's a nostalgic reaction to it. But, it became pretty clear that Drake Greenlaw was going to have no market in order to come back to the 49ers. And it's too bad because if he plays, the story on him is not yet written. If Drake Greenlaw plays a dominant, healthy season for the Broncos this year and the next year, you'll feel like the third year is gravy on a 3-year contract for him. But for a team that's been really beat up, for a team that's been devastated by injuries to star players, to me, I would not have gone to 3 years on Drake. I wouldn't have gone to 2 years on Drake Greenlaw. I love Drake Greenlaw. We all love Drake Greenlaw. But he was going to have to be back on a 1-year kind of get healthy and then get another contract year. And that wasn't going to happen. But you still got Fred Warner. You still got Nick Bosa. You still got, for those of you that like the quarterback, you still got Mr. 262 hats available at heyguy.co. There are big ifs on this team, right? If Ayuk is healthy, if McCaffrey stays healthy, if Trent Williams stays healthy, if Ricky Pearsall improves, if Brandon Ayuk gets healthy. Did I say that one already? Well, I said it twice. If the quarterback gets better and improves. To me, the biggest headline on Monday for the Niners was that they didn't get the guy that everybody had been telegraphing to the Niners, which is the center, Drew Dahlman. That, I told you, the most snaps, second on the offense in snaps list, you're Brendel. That's the guy you got to replace. That's at the top of the list. But when you look at this group in terms of defensive production last year, other than Mooney Ward, what'd you really lose? You're paying the defensive coordinator a lot of money. A lot of money. Rightfully so. He's got to go earn it. They got to get a center. And they got to get a left guard. And they got to be healthy. But I don't think that this is kind of the sky is falling feeling that a lot of people have today. And I saw somebody made a comment. Well, it's more just because nobody's coming in. It's not about who's going out. It's because nobody's coming in. Understandable. It's understandable. They got a lot to prove. They've got to prove as an organization that they're not just in money-saving mode, that it's not just about not spending. My guess is when it's all said and done, they will have spent, and not just on the quarterback. And they've got a lot of draft picks. That to me is not the feel-good comment on Monday, March 10th or Tuesday, March 11th. That's not the thing on this day. Oh, we got a lot of draft picks. All right. Well, good. Is Joey Bosa going to be on this team? That would help. Didn't get DJ Reed either. Is Joey Bosa going to be on this team? Won't be that expensive. That would help. That's fine. I think this, and Michael made a comment, Parag has the keys now. I think Parag's always been involved. I don't think this is a new evolution. I read the Mike Silver. I've read all the Kawakami and the Barrows and listen to all those guys talk. It's going to be on them to add the talent eventually in the draft, because that's when you look at the Eagles, they added draft, Chiefs draft. So this is part of a formula that can work if you hit part 2 of the formula too. And I just think we don't have enough of the formula yet to say this isn't working or this won't work. But we don't have enough to say that it's gonna work, So that's where I feel like I'm just being realistic. I understand it, I see it. If you had said individually 6 months ago, no Greenlaw, no Hargrave, no Mooney Ward, no Hufanga, I'd be like, yeah, I know. So fine. Brendel, got to replace. Juice, half you guys want him gone last year. Not me. Not me. Debo, fine. We've been talking about that one for a year. So the story of this offseason is far from written. And so far, it just feels like in volume, it's so weird to see so many guys go out and so few guys come back in. And we've talked about it a lot. I won't rehash it here, but part of the reason the Chiefs continue to get to Super Bowls is because of the way they drafted. Well, the Niners took a step in the right direction with that last year, but they've got to do it again. But I understand it. I've gotten multiple texts from people. It feels like a extremely underwhelming day. It feels like end of an era. And all I can say is that to me, my overarching thought is the story's not yet written. It's a team that still has Warner and Nick Bosa and a lot of skill guys. And they developed Amador Lenore and they hit on Pooney and all that stuff. So, I still think when it's all said and done too, on the quarterback, on the Purdy contract, it's going to be a number that on an average annual value makes the agent feel really good, and it's not going to be a guaranteed number that kills you in the long run. That's the prediction. I get asked all the time, like, predict the number, predict the number. I don't know what the number is going to be, but that's the prediction. Justin says, I expected everything but juice. That caught me off guard. You know, they had him take a pay cut last year. It was not ideal. It was a tenuous situation. Not tenuous, but I didn't want to. They asked him again. He didn't want to again. Probably a much smaller number. But they've got to get this defensive line in order. Interior defensive line. I've got a guy who swears, who's watched every snap of the Mason Graham career and swears he's the guy. So we'll talk about that at a later date. But they still have a good schedule. They still have a really good head coach, although I know he takes a lot of heat in the chat, and some of it deserved. He's not free of criticism at all. They still have really good players. And to me, nothing has happened today that changes the outlook. Now, nothing has happened today that improves the outlook because they haven't added anybody. But nothing that has happened today that changes the outlook in a dramatic way. I do think of all these guys that went out the door today, Juszczyk is, to me, the most significant, given how integral he's been to their offense. Like you cannot just count his impact by snaps, because on any given one snap, there's three different things that he can do. He can carry it, not as much. He can block, he can catch, and he knows the offense really well. You know, and to me, he served so many different roles. Veteran leader. You know, remember, he was, at least early on, I think pretty critical in the development of Ayuk mentally, just being there with him as a guy kind of going through some stuff and learning how to be a pro. So, you know, and a lot of you've been around the show for a while know that I am biased, but it's because I believe in the guy. And so that one, you know, I think it's going to be hard to replace. Like, you get a guy who, we got a tight end who can block. Okay, cool. Let's see it. Not always does, a guy went to a good school translate to sports. You know, football smarts, book smarts. But that guy was the total package. So, you know, I'll miss him. I don't know if he's clicking on this show, but if he does, he knows. He already knows. But so, you know, all of that stuff. The Debo one's also significant. He gets the ball. He got the ball a lot. Brock's whole career, like Debo was part of the game plan. So that's significant. But you know, I also look at this division. The Rams upgrade. There's some like somebody tweeted at me like, well, is Purdy the worst quarterback in the division now? Like, nothing's changed. I mean, I like those. We go back a couple years, you know, I like Sam Darnold the right amount. Sam, the guy, huge fan. The quarterback, amazing story. So happy for him. I don't think that Seattle helped themselves in a significant way. Would I take him over Geno? Yeah. Okay. Yes, I would. I would. But I think that Seattle's going to run into the same issues with Darnold that they ran into with Geno. Like, they can light up bad teams. They can, if they do all the other things right, like the Vikings did against the Niners, they can beat good teams. But he's going to throw picks. He's going to try to play some hero ball time to time. The pressure is going to make some mistakes. They downgrade by losing DK. I think they're the same. Maybe a little worse. Now, Devontae, because the reason it comes up is people like, oh, well, DK's out, but Devontae's in, so it's all kind of a wash. Like, no, Devontae's with Sean McVay. And a quarterback, like, to me, DK would have been great for Sam Darnold. That would have been an awesome combination. in the way that Devontae is great for Matthew Stafford. So that's a big add. Now, I still think the depth of I like the Rams. I just like the Rams a lot because I like McVay. The depth of that team still needs to be, that's part of what they're addressing. But they've drafted well and like they're in good shape. They're in a different place. They won a Super Bowl. So now their timeline's a little funky because their quarterback's older. But I just think even an age Devontae just does some stuff that can work with Matthew Stafford. But I don't think the Seahawks ultimately netted out much better. The Rams, it's to me I look at the division largely the same way I did a week ago, which is very winnable. Very winnable. Well, that's a good pickup. Dave says San Francisco has to hit on every draft pick, everyone, and they still may not do anything. Well, they don't have to hit on every draft pick. They need to add a defensive lineman. It'd be great to add some offensive line, but this is not a very deep. It's certainly not a tackle draft. It'd be great if they could find their next linebacker or another tight end for the future. They've got a lot of picks. They're going to have a lot of picks. You don't have to hit on every pick. You got to nail like 4, and you nail 3 or 4. I mean, you like home run 3, or you nail like 4 to 5. It changes your entire franchise, and that's not easy to do. But that is what they need to do, and so they get a lot of picks to do it. Just looking at some of these comments here. Comment from Kim, it's pretty clear there won't be a QB contract done with Brock before the season begins. 49ers want a cost savings quarterback. Brock needs to get his resume ready. I think he'll certainly have a contract done. I don't think he's going anywhere. I think it makes sense for them to figure out a lot of other parts of the roster before they figure out how they want to best structure the Purdy money. But that's his contract. It's funny. We spent so much time talking about the Purdy contract. It's not really at the top of mind for me, like the list of all this stuff. Like number 1 on the list, rebuild the D-line, fortify the depth of the offensive line. But number 1, to me, get a center. Get a center. Fortify the D-line, which you can do in the draft. Fortify the depth of the offensive line, because that's really what they lost today with Banks and Moore. And get healthy. Now, somebody asked me earlier if I went on vacation. The reason I said earlier I feel like I owed a show is because I haven't been doing many. And it's not because I've been on vacation. It's the opposite. I've been extremely busy. It's been the best, I speak for a living, the best basketball season of my career for sure, working for Big Ten Network. And I've been doing a lot of games, and I've been on since January 1st, which is not basketball season includes December, but I didn't check December. If I go since January 1st to today, I've been on, I think, 34 flights. And so I've just been very busy doing Big Ten basketball. And so my frequency here on the podcast and the YouTube channel has suffered. I'll do my final basketball games this week, and then the plan is for all this stuff to pick back up. But part of why I was a little squeezed on time today to get a show in was because I am doing the Big Ten tournament for the Big Ten Network. And so Tuesday morning, I'm flying to Indianapolis. I'm very excited about it. I've not ever done a college basketball tournament. And so I'll be doing games on Thursday and Friday. There's 4 games. I'll do the first 2 games of each of those days on Big Ten Network. So like Wednesday, I'll speed through this because I know most of you aren't here for Big Ten basketball talk. But Wednesday, they're on Peacock. Then Thursday, I'll do the Oregon-Indiana basketball game. And then the next game I'll do right after that is Wisconsin against either Northwestern or Minnesota. And then that's the first session that day. And then the second session in the evening, Kevin Kugler does those games on Big Ten Network. And then Friday, I run it back. The winner of Indiana, Oregon, I've got that game against Michigan State. And then the next game I'll do is UCLA against the winner of Wisconsin's game. So I'll do 2 games on Thursday and 2 games on Friday. And then Kugler does the evening games. And then Saturday and Sunday, the Big Ten tournament semis and championship game are on CBS. So I'm very excited about it. It's been great. It's a great opportunity for me, but it also means that I'm not doing shows every day here doing this time. So I'll have my mic, I'll have my camera. If some crazy stuff goes down while I'm in Indy, then I'll be around for it. But it won't be just hangout chats this week, and so I appreciate any patience that you may have to display for that because of it. So, but thank you for asking, and I shared that. And if you are a college basketball fan, watch it. The Big Ten tournament's going to be awesome, and I'm very excited about it. So that's the situation. What you should take away from this is I'm not as down as most people probably feel who are around the Nine, who are Niner fans on a Monday night, because I still think the big picture stuff that we've talked about for months still exists. The opportunities for them still exist with the schedule, with the quarterback, with the coach. I think a lot of you know where I stand on Purdy. Or we argue about it, I guess. So I don't know. Maybe everyone doesn't understand. But I think he's good. I think he can be even better. I think he's good enough to win a championship. I think when the group of players around him are average, his ceiling gets limited because the subtlety of his skills can take advantage of really good talent around him and a good situation around him, but he doesn't overpower a defense with his physical traits or single-handedly elevate ordinary receivers or an average offensive line or a below average offensive line. Not transformative. He's not Josh Allen. But I also think that he can do more with a good roster than some players who are more talented than him, but maybe are average when it comes to processing or smarts, or maybe aren't quite as athletic enough. So I don't know what category that puts him in. It puts him in the category of a good quarterback, like most who needs good players around him. Most championship teams don't have bad rosters. In fact, in the history of the sport, no championship team had a bad roster. So I think they're in fine shape with him. And I don't think they're going to, end up, I don't even like this phrase, but like mortgaging their future because of the quarterback contract. So that's that. Question. I'll entertain one. Armando, am I crazy? I got the Ducks going to the Final Four. I mean, if you're looking for a sleeper team, I don't think that's crazy. Wouldn't be my first pick, but they're playing really good basketball. They got roles. They got 2 shot blockers. They got a really good point guard. They have one of the best coaches in the country. They can shoot threes. They can protect the paint. They can play multiple lineups. That's a good sleeper. All right. With that hiccup, I got to wrap it. You want to send me an email, you can do it at heyguy.co. You want to buy 262 hats or the Hey Guy hat. Like Hey Guy, start doing some shows every day again. You can do that at heyguy.co. So go check it out. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.